Left murder scene because my manager complained about overtime. In a past work life I worked at a small newspaper where corporate insisted on paying me hourly, despite the job not being capable of being done in 40 hours. That, and anyone who knows the news industry knows that news happens more than just 95. It was implied that you just work when needed and don't miss deadlines. I did that for years. One week I ended up working over 100 hours. Lots of huge breaking news stories, and I was the only person working at that newspaper. I asked for 20 hours overtime pay, having worked 60 hours of overtime that week, and my regional manager refused because it hadn't been priorly authorized. So I told him from then on I work exactly 40 hours. And I didn't care what news happened after. I'd cover it my next workday. About 6 months go by. No major news missed. But a few things were later than they should be. Then another hell week hits. Several major car crashes. A school bomb threat, and Friday about 4 p.m. a murder. I head out to the murder scene. Get photos. Talk to an officer and am told an update is coming at 6:30 p.m. So I write up a very short piece with the info I had by 4:30. And at 5 p.m. I go home for the weekend. Readers and bosses reached out several times over the weekend. Readers I told we'd have an update on Monday, and that no one was scheduled to work the weekend. Bosses I ignored until Monday. He tried to yell. I pointed out it would have been unpaid overtime and it wasn't approved. By Wednesday they offered me a raise and put me on salary. I accepted, but left the job a few months later. Whether authorized or not, in the United States your employer is required by the Fair Labor Standards Act to pay you for all overtime you worked. OP worked a 100-hour week and was only paid for 40 hours? They owe OP 60 hours of pay at the 1.5x rate. Contact your state labor board or a private attorney. You're allowed to sue for damages plus attorney's fees. OP's boss violated federal law. Don't work for free. It hurts every other worker out there. By Wednesday they offered me a raise and put me on salary. I accepted, but left the job a few months later. Sounds about right. Wage theft totals more money stolen than all other forms of theft put together. Typical corporate. Not their problem until it bites them in the ass. Yas, let's talk newspapers. My people. So many of these malicious compliance posts are about bosses not paying for overtime. It almost seems like expecting extra work for no money can come back to bite them. If I didn't know this was malicious compliance, that would be a really weird headline. I know you're no longer there, but never work for free. You are selling your time, knowledge, and skills to your employer. Get paid for that. For a comparison, try walking into a grocery store, filling up your cart and then telling them that you're paying for everything but the brisket. They're giving you that for free. Your reaction was completely justified. But wouldn't readers have gotten the details through other channels? Television either, or not local and or competing newspapers. I really do want to smack whomever spread the false idea that being made salary automatically exempts you from overtime and the company can work you whenever they want for however long they want. At least here in the US the number of salaried jobs that are exempt from overtime are actually few and far between. Many of them are the C-level executives who control the direction and focus of the entire business, like CEO, CTO, CFO, etc., etc. The rest are upper managers that have control over hiring and firing. You absolutely can be a manager that has no control of hiring or firing, and that aspect in and of itself means that you're eligible for overtime pay according to labor law. I know this 'cause my wife worked as an assistant manager for a craft store for quite some time, working 60+ hours a week. Her boss was a control freak and wouldn't let anyone else be involved in the hiring and firing process. Eventually we heard about a similar lawsuit where a manager sued for overtime under similar circumstances then won. Long story short, it was actually correct and we won as well for lost overtime back pay because the manager never involved her in the hiring or firing process. I implore everyone who is salary or thinking of transitioning to a salary job to research the relevant labor law for overtime exempt policies. If you're a programmer that spends most of your time writing code, then you can be exempt from overtime. But if you're a basic IT help desk monkey who dabbles in programming for the company, you should be getting paid overtime. I run into multiple stories every month where people talk about being salary and working tons of overtime, but the description of their job title, job duties and responsibilities don't fit my understanding of what is and isn't overtime exempt. So many people should be getting paid overtime but assume that salary doesn't get overtime. Go look it up yourself and you'll be surprised how many people are supposed to be getting overtime. Corporate journalism will be the death of democracy. Sorry about your experience, op. Good that you left. Hold your good work hostage and that's when they care about your needs. Everyone can learn from this. Salary is just an excuse to avoid paying you overtime. Good show. By Wednesday they offered me a raise and put me on salary. I accepted. Future job advice: don't do this unless the raise is actually significant.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.